Hey, Joseph Onesta here, clinical hypnotist in Pittsburgh. I want to share a story with you. You might have caught some of the shorts that I put out, really all about metabolic reset and getting your health back from metabolic disease. And I've done a series, little shorts on exercise and activity levels. And a lot of us think that when we decide we're going to be more active, that it means going to the gym and or buying equipment. Let's get that exercise bike or that treadmill. And of course, those things generally become, places to hang laundry. But the thing is, you don't have to start that way, and you're better off not starting that way because it's not sustainable. You convince yourself, oh my gosh, I'm going to go and spend all this money on a gym membership, and then you never go. And it might be 2 or 3 years before you cancel it and realize I'm never going to go. Anyway, so I just want to tell you this story because I think you should start out small. It doesn't mean that you can't ramp it up later, but do do something now that is just a little bit of an increase. It might be a few more steps or something like that. I mean, literally, that's simple. But starting off small then creates a kind of momentum. And I'm just going to share a personal story with you that I thought was, at the time, miraculous. Back in the days of COVID, when I was first sort of dealing with my own metabolic disease, and I'm a clinical hypnotist. I had two offices. Um, my mother, who was in her 100th year, came and lived with us. It was COVID. It was winter here in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is very hilly, by the way. We actually have public steps so that because to walk the road might be anyway. I could show you pictures. I suppose I should go and take them. But uh, I'm going to work because I'm a clinical hypnotist and that my clients needed me. But one day I crazy totaled my car. It was a tiny accident. It was basically a fender bender, but it totaled my car. And so, and I know that sounds crazy, but it's true. And so, because we were caring for my mother, my husband couldn't come and get me or couldn't take me to work. He had his job, I had mine, and we were both working. But in the evenings, when I would be, particularly when I'd be coming home, and we worked on opposite directions, by the way, but the ladies that would come and be with my mother and help her during the day because we had to work were gone. So I had to, if I didn't drive, I was on the bus. And I hadn't ridden the bus in years. But you look at the situation. I mean, money was tight. It was COVID. Work was not abundant. I might actually go all the way to the office for a single client who might not show up. Anyway, so it's like, all right, I'm on the bus, right? I bought the little card to prepay my bus fares, and I started walking to the bus station. The place to get on the bus was a half an hour walk, and it was up and down hills. So I had to walk twice a day, a half an hour up and down hills. Now, that I will tell you, over time, that half an hour gradually became 20 minutes, and I didn't notice. I really didn't notice. It was cold, yes. Sometimes I walked faster than I would have if it were warmer, but uh, you know, it became 20 minutes. And each of my offices were two buses. I had to take a bus from the bus stop nearest my house to downtown Pittsburgh and then transfer. You cannot imagine how much time I was sitting on a Pittsburgh bus. I half an hour walk, maybe have to wait 15 or 20 minutes for the bus to come. Then the bus takes 15 minutes to get downtown, but then another 45 minutes or an hour. In one case, it went to one office, it might be an hour and a half that I had to wait for the next bus. So sometimes I was on the bus or in transit 4 or 5 hours a day on the bus. And I would get home late at night. My husband was home, the ladies were gone, mom was okay. That was all that mattered, right? So one day I'm sitting on the bus, I'm going to work, and the bus was my bus, the one that I was on, was a little late, and the other one, the second bus, was a little early. And I literally watched as we're riding in, this bus cross the road and turn the bend, and that was the bus I had to catch. Well, suddenly, I mean, without even thinking, I was this kid again, like I would have when I was a teenager. And so I'm standing up. I'm going to the door. I'm waiting for that door to open. When the door opened, I bolted. I ran a block and a half all the way. I was one of the last people on the bus, although I wasn't the last one. I ran all the way a block and a half. Now, I hadn't run. In fact, I used to say, I don't even run if you're chasing me with a knife. I'd rather turn around and fight. I ran. And I get on the bus, I run my card through the machine, you tap it on the machine, and I sit down. And then I thought, holy shit, I ran. And I'm not even out of breath. Now, that didn't mean that I took up jogging. I don't think running is fun at all. But it does mean that I had made an immense amount of progress just walking to and from the bus stop. That's it. And so, golly, gee willikers, all I got to say is you don't have to go nuts. You don't have to buy equipment. You don't have to go to it. Just do a little more each day, day by day, a little more. You don't have to rush it. I see these apps, chair yoga and chair tai chi, and okay, all of that's great. And if you find some exercise there that's too tough for you, adapt it to your needs. It's your body. But just do a little bit. I mean, even just a couple of steps more today than yesterday, and then sort of average that out over a week, for example, and then track it on a weekly basis. And you're going to see a trajectory. If you don't want to track it, don't. But it helps. I didn't notice, and it was amazing. But until then, walking to the bus, especially when it was snowy and icy, it was a chore. But after that, it was like, oh, I don't mind. I mean, I've done this now for, a month and a month or two. I don't know how long it was, a month and a half, something like that. But it's like, oh my gosh, I'm actually making progress. And so I'm making this longer video. I've said these things before. Every little bit counts, but move a little bit more. If you are stuck in a chair, get one of those apps, or you can actually just see the ads for those apps and glean 5 or 6 exercises that you could do that you're comfortable doing, and do them. And what you'll notice is that once you begin to make progress, doing what you think is impossible becomes increasingly possible. I'm not talking, listen, I'm 65, right? When I was a kid, Very, very few people were cut or ripped. The only people who were cut or ripped were people who were on the gymnastics team or, some bodybuilder, right? Everybody else was normal, like not. So when you're older and you're looking at these kids who are ripped and cut, and God knows, how they got that way. We know how they got that way, but it's like that's a hell of a thing to live up to or to think you need to aspire to, particularly if you're an older man like me. You know what? I'm never going to be a gymnast. And, at 65, not that I would say no if it just happened, but it's not going to just happen, and I have to. I'm good where I am. I'll keep going and keep going and keep growing, but honestly, that's all you got to do. So I really, really hope that this video, if you found it, it has encouraged you to do even the smallest things. Like if you're in a chair and you can't move a lot and you want to do some resistance, you could get some dumbbells. You could get very cheaply those exercise bands, which give increasing resistance so that you can build muscle and have more lean muscle mass so that you're actually using those muscles and you're actually using the glucose in your system and reversing that insulin resistance. So it's all about your wellness. It's all about your health. And by the way, it belongs to you. It's not, don't leave it in the hands of your doctor because your doctor has a protocol that they have to follow, and it may not be enough. Okay, so Joseph Onesta here. I'm in Pittsburgh. I work with clients all around the world, but you don't really need me. You can do it on your own if you want, and that's what it's all about. So good luck.